G'day, Geoff Lewis here from Seriously Series. Today what I thought we'd look at is kit. Equipment that we all use to go out and explore our part of the world. Now, some of this kit can actually cost you a lot of money, but there are a few little ways that you can potentially find a piece of kit that's really got some interesting history behind it and give it a new lease on life. Now, what I'm going to be looking at today is actually the jerry can. And this one here is from 1952. So I'm going to be showing you how you can actually restore a good old jerry can, give it a new lease on life, and help you to get out to explore your part of the world. Should be an interesting video as always here, and you know what to do. Stay tuned. Okay, so I've flushed out the jerry cans using obviously the concentrate degreaser. I've then put some water in, and after doing that too, it pays to actually rinse out the jerry can once again with fresh water, because it's amazing the actual rust and the grime and paint flakes and all the rest that build up over time. Now, this applies also in regards to your fuel tanks. Now, if you're buying a more mature vehicle or a vehicle that's been sitting for a long period of time, the first thing you want to do is drain that fuel tank. Get whatever fuel there is in it, get it out of it. Because I can tell you now, and I'm telling you this from experience, it will cause you a world of hurt. It's not too bad if it's a petrol, but if it's a diesel, mega bucks. You're going to be spending mega bucks trying to fix that car, because if that screws up your injector pump, it's just not even worth going there. So really important to make sure, if you're buying an older vehicle with a metal fuel tank, make sure you drain it, because you're going to have the same problems as what we have here. So I've drained the jerry cans. I'll show you. You can see the blue markings on the bottom here. This is where the pinholes are. That's one. And that's two. Now, I could quite easily go out and buy brand new jerry cans, but these are from the early 1950s. And look, if you own a Series Land Rover or a Willys Jeep or a Jeep from this period, you want the jerry cans to match. Of course you want them to match. So that's why we're putting this bit of extra effort into these. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fix these holes that are in there. And we're going to delve into the world of brazing. And what we're going to do is we're going to braze over these little holes that are obviously in the jerry can. But as you can see, there's a few pit marks there too. And so if there's slight pits in the tank, then that's obviously opening up the possibility of them forming into leaks much later on down the track, or maybe not, we don't know. So it's worthwhile just taking the time, do it right, do it once. So the first thing, I guess you're probably thinking, why braze them? You could use solder. If you can get lead solder, you can do that. Silver solder, you can use that too. You can get copper brazing rods, or bronze, silver nickel rods, which is what we're going to use here today. Now, the reason why I'm doing that is you can use polymetal. There's another one called ferroprey that I've used in the past. And really, these polymetals and these 2-pack epoxies are really all they are. And some of you may disagree with this, but I'm going to explain why. They are only a temporary measure. They are not the correct way. They are not the correct way of solving a fuel leaking issue with a tank or pressure vessel. It does not work. The reason being, even though they are designed to work in fuel systems, they break down. And the reason why I'm telling you this is I actually used that to fix a tank in a GQ Patrol. And the problem that I have with that car now is I have to be very careful that the fuel is fresh, because it is slowly breaking down in the bottom of the tank. It isn't leaking, there's nothing wrong with it, but you get certain little films, certain little bits breaking off because it is a glue, it's a putty. So you don't get a nice clean finish. Whereas brazing, soldering, it's a clean finish. There's no little tags, there's no little bits that can break off over time. So it's a much better way of doing it. It's a lot more durable too. A lot of these epoxies and putties tend to crack and break. They're very brittle. Whereas, as you can imagine with your lead solder, it's quite ductile. It can bend, it can move, and all the rest. So that's why we're going with this option. Rightio, so we're nearly complete. Sprayed up the jerry can with a nice olive green paint, but the next thing we need to do is obviously look at the seal. Now, if you buy one of the tin jerry cans, they literally will last you a lifetime. As I've already said, these are from the 1950s, and by the end of this video they should be going strong. So I've got some Pro Quip jerry can seals. You can buy these from any, I guess, half decent automotive distributor store, spare parts or whatever, and it's pretty simple. They're just a bit of rubber there, and we're going to dig this out and we'll put a new one inside it, and this will keep it sealed, means that we won't lose any fuel. So by just using a flat-bladed screwdriver, we can just pry this out. They can be a bit stubborn, as you can imagine. Very stubborn in this case. Bloody oath. So you can see how brittle that is. It's literally breaking off. Don't know why it is. It's always easier to pull stuff apart rather than put it back together. Rightio, so we've actually got that all in there, and what I'm going to do now is I'll leave that jerry can closed overnight, and that'll actually help to set the seal in. It's no different to really doing your door seals on a Land Rover. You have to do the same thing. Anyway, so that's pretty much done. So here we are, the end product. And I've sprayed it up with an olive green semi-gloss enamel paint. So what does that all mean? Well, basically, being a semi-gloss, by spraying it directly on, I get this nice matte finish, which means it's not shiny. And any piece of military kit always has matte paint, because you don't want reflection coming off the paint, because that's how aircraft can spot you, that's how snipers can spot you, and all the rest. You want to be camouflaged. So that's what I've done here. Enamel probably wouldn't have been the paint that they would have used back in the day, but it's as close as I can get. I've put a hardener in it also, so it means that the paint is going to be very, very resistive over time, and particularly with heavy wearing, putting it in and out of the Land Rover and all the rest. So it's come up really well, and look, I think it's going to be able to keep this jerry can going for at least another few years, probably another 10, 20, 30 years. So really not bad at all. So anyway, I hope with this video that you've learnt a few tips and tricks yourself that you can use to fix not just jerry cans, but your own fuel tanks and own fuel issues that might occur down the track, because you'll be surprised at what happens when you're out there gallivanting around on your next big adventure. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video and you're enjoying the content here at Seriously Series, as I always say, please do support the generation of content here, whether it's via Patreon or via our website at seriouslyseries.com.au. And if you're new to the channel, then please click on that subscribe button down below, click on the notification button too, and that way you won't miss out on one single video. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in our next video.